I think poker in Italy has really developed. But, I have a lot of respect for Dario. I think he's a very, very good player. Heads-up sit-and-goes in particular, though, can be very, very personal game. Philosophy basically teaches you how to think. It doesn't necessarily teach you a set of facts or a set of things to memorize, but it teaches you how to break down and analyze things and then form arguments that are based on premises and arrive at conclusions. So one of the ways that I look at poker is like a bunch of small little puzzles that you have to figure out. And my training in philosophy has helped me to kind of get from point A to point B, to get from the beginning to a logical conclusion at the end and figure out what I think the right play is and why. And so, basically the strategy part of poker has derived, at least in part, from my philosophy study. Sometimes I actually think that I would be better off if I had never found poker, to be honest. Most of the time I don't think that, but sometimes I do. Poker can be a very difficult psychological and emotional activity to be involved in all the time. If I never played poker, I think I probably would be working on Wall Street. That's what I was doing before I started playing poker, and who knows where that would have led me. But one thing I can tell you for sure is that I probably would not have met my wife and married my wife. So I'm thrilled that I did find poker and that I also found her. I went broke in my career a few times, maybe not many times, but a few different times. One time in particular, I remember I was on a very, very good run, and I went out drinking with some friends, and I came home, and I don't even remember, but I lost a lot of my money in the account. I woke up the next morning and was very, very upset because I didn't remember what happened, and I ended up tilting off the rest of the money. That was a very, very brutal experience. Really, really took a while for me to recover from that, both financially and emotionally. But I was working at the time. I was out of college and I was working on Wall Street. I had a job that paid decent money, and I was living at home, so my expenses were low. So I was able to replenish my bankroll from my paycheck, and I did that a few times, and then eventually I was smart enough to take some money out, save it, learn bankroll management, learn game selection, learn to tilt less, and eventually started winning more. What I play online is mostly heads-up sit-and-goes. So if, for example, I get heads-up in this tournament, I will play very similar to the way that I play online. The similarities between live and online, I think, are very strong. There are a lot of similarities. Obviously, live has an additional element where you can see your opponent, you can feel your opponent, you can get a real sense physically for what's going on with your opponents. But I think that is one of the only differences. Well, there's another difference, which is that the level of competition tends to be harder online. So you tend to be playing better players, and from a strategic point of view, that can make a difference. But otherwise, the fact that you only get one shot at a live tournament shouldn't really change the way that you play, because when you play, no matter what context you're playing in, you should be trying to make the best decisions for that particular situation. Now, the only difference that I might see would be that sometimes I make plays that are designed to set up for future plays. So, I might make some bluffs or make some calls that are designed to prevent my opponent from bluffing or to get my opponent to call later. 100% I think poker theory can evolve. Just within the last 6 months or 9 months, online sites have introduced super turbos, hyper turbos, heads-up sit-and-goes, which are basically shortened versions of heads-up sit-and-goes where you start with smaller blinds. And in that very controlled format, where you don't even have that much blinds, you still see an evolution of people changing their style of play and it getting better and better. So I think when you're talking about 50, 100 big blind poker, I think there's a lot more room for poker to evolve and for players to improve. And then once players improve, there's also a question of trends. Some things trend in the poker world. 4-betting might trend, 3-betting might trend, flatting 3-bets with aces, with big hands like that. Those types of things, slow playing much more often. So those trends will continue to turn, and then the counter strategies will turn with them.